What is going on? Welcome back to the Jiu-Jitsu Outlet Podcast. I am here with the legend, Jordan Preisinger. Jordan is a first degree black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You might know him from either teaching about Jiu-Jitsu on YouTube or talking about Jiu-Jitsu on his podcast. But Jordan is a YouTuber. In my opinion, you are the very best. Like, I didn't want to tell you that before the podcast, but I wanted to go on record saying that you are my top jiu-jitsu YouTuber. And I think that you will go on to amass a large empire of YouTube glory. But Jordan, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. And I just wanted to start off by saying, how's everything going for you guys? I know you're up in Canada. I know you own an academy. What's the environment like? Like, are you guys back to training full time? Are you back open? Like, what's that been like for you the last couple of years?
Yeah, it's been really hard. I think COVID was hard for everyone, but especially gym owners. And then when you factor in, Canada was like super hardcore about their like regulations and everything. So we just got back to normal training this year. It was about like March. And so yeah, we've only been back to like normal training for like 6 months or so. So just this whole time has just been unreal after like 2 years of having to like roll behind closed doors and that kind of thing. So yeah, I'm glad to be back to normal. The gym's going really good. Everyone's just super excited to be able to do things again. So like the gym is yeah, it's doing really well for me. And plus I got the YouTube channel now too. So which came as a result of like, the gym being closed, and I was just like super depressed about it. So I was like, I got to do something, be productive. So I started the YouTube channel and it worked out really good for me. So yeah, it's going really well.
It's amazing how these things happen in our lives that force us to go in a different direction. I mean, this is like resiliency 101 is and something that's come up a lot on this podcast is that martial arts training really helps with resiliency, with that like mental fortitude that comes when your gym gets shut down and the government tells you can't train. So what are you going to do? You just going to sit on the couch all day and be depressed? Like, no, you pivot and you have that resiliency built up that helps you do that. So, man, I just want to get right into it and just hear about what has jiu-jitsu training done for you? Like, what has it done for your mental health? What has it done for your life? And these things become so apparent, man, when it's gone, when it's taken from us. So, what has this done for you since you started training?
Yeah, I mean, like it's done everything for me. It's just hard to pinpoint one thing because like I think people can probably tell a little bit that I'm like a shy, kind of like soft-spoken person. Easier, right? So I remember like having this mentality when I was younger. It's like I felt like everyone was like out to get me and like really like antisocial. And yeah, I just like belonging to a community like jujitsu. It's like you realize that most people out there are pretty nice and have good intentions, and you can become friends with anyone. And yeah, it's like it's helped me a lot that way. And also it's given me like purpose because like especially like, for me, it's like I don't know. I feel like I always have to. I feel like it's like part of my identity almost. Like, I was like competitor, always doing well. Then like, people know me as like a good teacher, everything. So, having that has always been like, really good for me. And because like that's how I felt during the pandemic. I felt like who am I? It's like I'm not a jiu-jitsu instructor, like not doing anything, like because I can't be instructing. And it was really like, a weird time for me, like not really knowing who I am and everything. So that kind of really messed with my mind. So yeah, jujitsu has really done everything for me, and I've seen it do a lot for my students too. And it's sometimes people like they like downplay the effect that jujitsu can have on people's mental health, only because probably because they don't haven't experienced it themselves. But I know, like for me personally, like I go through mental health problems, and jujitsu's helped me, stay focused and have something to look forward to, and yeah, it's something to work on because yeah, for me, like I need to be like always like have like a goal and be working towards something. Otherwise, I'm like super depressed. And I like talking about mental health. So I like, being on your podcast thing is really exciting because, for me, like I've been diagnosed with bipolar, but I'm not sure if that's what it is. Maybe I like got ADHD. It's one of the, it's I got something wrong with my brain. So like, jiu-jitsu's been really helpful that way because without like something to focus on, it's a really tough mental situation to be in.
Recently, I had an expert on the show. His name's Musin Corbry, and he's a third year doctoral student who's studying neuroscience. He's also a jiu-jitsu black belt and a pro MMA fighter. And he was talking about the dopamine receptors and how we get a dopamine hit whenever we achieve something on the mats. That there's actually, there's chemicals in our brain that respond to this sort of stuff. Like if you submit someone on the mats, you get a rush. You get a big boost. Like it's not just a little boost. You get like oh my God, like it's a very primal thing that happens. There's also he explained it a lot better on that episode. I'm not a scientist, but what I'm getting at here is there's norepinephrine, there's serotonin involved, all of these chemicals that get stimulated when we are on the mats. And if you struggle with depression, if you struggle with anxiety, like these chemicals, they rule our whole lives. Really, they make up who you are. So when that thing's taken away, all of a sudden, your co-host was talking about this on the podcast episode because he was saying, I was listening to this before, earlier today. He was saying he had an addiction problem, that he was and jujitsu helped replace that. And then during the pandemic, when that was gone, that age old proverb of nature abhors the void, right? That suddenly he was craving his old addiction, even though it was something that he had never dealt with. So, is that something that you've gone through, man? Like this feeling of like almost a physical withdrawal from jujitsu when it's taken away, or is it more for you like a completely mental side? If that does that question make sense?
Oh no, yeah, it totally makes sense. And like anytime I take a break from jiu-jitsu, I just feel like after a while, I feel like, there's like I feel really off and really bad. And when it came to the pandemic, not be able to roll and especially in the beginning, not be able to roll as much as I wanted to. Like a lot of people in Canada had problems with substance abuse. And for me, like I don't mind talking about it a little bit. It's like I smoked like a ton of weed during the pandemic and like it was not productive at all. And that's kind of what I used to kind of like you know, just kind of get my brain off of all these hardships because I didn't know what was going to happen with the gym, if it was going to close, if I was going to go bankrupt, all this stuff because, losing my house too, all these things were like a real possibility. So, not having jujitsu in my life regularly, it was like really hard on me. Like, yeah, it was a really hard time. And yeah, the pandemic itself was just like such a pain in the ass. So, yeah, I think that jujitsu is so like addictive that way because it gives you that dopamine hit and but in a productive way rather than doing it through like chemical means like, like weed or like alcohol or anything like that, which give you the dopamine, but then also they do really bad things for your brain too. So yeah, it's like not good.
Yeah, man. And this is like the theme that keeps coming up. Like the more people I talk to, it's like this thing that we feel. I've heard it called like the jitters, where you get away from the mat for a week and you're like, oh my God, I just gotta roll. And you hear guys joking about it, like, oh man, I came here to get my fix. But it's real. Like it actually has a physical correspondence, and you're totally right. Like so much more productive than getting hooked on a substance or alcohol or really, gambling, anything that's less productive. Like, what do you see happen with your students? Like as an academy owner, you see, I bet you get a lot of people coming in, their first day of jujitsu, they've never been on the mats before. What do you see happen in their evolution from being like that day one beginner all the way up to maybe getting a blue belt or a purple belt or even higher? What's that mental evolution like in your students?
Yeah, so for a lot of people, it's like a complete transformation just because like a lot of things in life, like there's not a lot of activities in life that you can kind of do that you kind of belong to a community and feel like a part of it. So I can see people come in sometimes. I can tell that, they probably don't have a lot of friends, like, maybe they have some like work friends or whatever. But in like, reality, it's like they don't have any like real friends. They don't belong to a real community. So, having jujitsu, it's almost like a light bulb goes off in their brain and they just, they feel so good from it. So, yeah, I've really seen that a lot. And it just depends on the gym. Like, it's not always jujitsu itself. It's like gyms that foster like a good community where people they want to hang out and they want to talk after class and just have a good time. Those that's really good for people that don't have that in their life. And a lot of people don't have that in their life. So and I'd be one of those people. It's like if I didn't have jujitsu or MMA or whatever, it's like who would I hang out with? Like those are all my friends. So you know, I remember before jiu-jitsu, I felt like I didn't have a lot of friends and I felt really like lonely that way. So jiu-jitsu really filled that void. And yeah, like I said, like I see a lot in a lot of my students. It's like not everyone, because a lot of people do have a lot of friends and, they're happy, and jiu-jitsu is just another hobby for them. But a lot of people don't have that, and they really need that to, feel like they have purpose in their life and not be lonely.
I think you're totally right, man. Are you familiar with the book Tribe by Sebastian Junger? I think is his
No,
name.
I'm not. No.
Long story short, he wrote a book. He like embedded with special forces groups overseas, and he wanted to figure out about the environment that they live in, as a team and stuff like that. And long story short, what he found out was that when they're in that tribal environment, even though they're overseas and they're stressed out, that their anxiety levels actually decreased compared to when they were back home, safe, and not in their unit, not in their tribe. And he said that as they approached closer to mission time, and they were like monitoring these guys' heart rate and doing it like somewhat scientifically, that their heart rate would go down. They would get calmer the closer they got to go time. And the whole book is like kind of what he concluded was like, especially men especially really need this like tribal community of like the brotherhood. It's going to go out and protect the community or whatever. Like, even though like at the moment, thank God we're not getting invaded or anything like that. There is no, enemy at the gates necessarily. We still, as men, especially, and women too, of course, as a community, we've got to come together and be like, we've got this. We've got each other's back. And there be this kind of tribal aspect to it without obviously descending into some sort of nationalism or something unhealthy. It's got to be that healthy thing. I think jujitsu gives this to people. Like, that's kind of what I'm getting at. Like, I've heard that you say this a couple times during this conversation. Like, it's just the community, the team, the friends. You're so right, man. You're so freaking right. Um, like, what has this done for you in your life off the mats? Like, all of this together, what is this? How has this helped your relationships, your business, your life as an entrepreneur? Like, what has it done for you in those areas?
Yeah, I think it's just like I'm someone that kind of needs to feel like accomplished, and and like I've reached my goals. So like I think jiu-jitsu's really provided that for me, because I'm pretty good at jiu-jitsu, and I've like done well in competition, done well as a coach, and done well on YouTube, really achieved my goals. So like, that just makes me feel like I'm proud of myself and what I've done. And I think that's, important for me. And sometimes I think it's funny too. Some people like they almost like don't want to others to like be proud of their accomplishments. They want to kind of like hold them back or something, which I think is really silly. It's like if someone does something cool, they should 100% be, happy with it and have no problem saying it. So yeah, I'm really proud of myself, the things I've done. And, like I really feel I've gotten a lot of confidence from it, just because like, it's like, why, like, I don't know. It's like hard to explain. It's like, I know a lot of people like look up to me, and like I feel like because of it, it's like I don't know, it's hard to explain really. It's just like I just feel good about myself, really.
Well, you should, and I think that's what you're getting at. It's like it rewards you for your real accomplishments. Like, getting a black belt in jujitsu is freaking hard, man. Like, how long did it take you to get your black belt?
It took me 7 years, which is like a little bit above average, but like my dedication and my like my desire to get good at jiu-jitsu was like extremely high. So that's one thing I feel good about too. It's like achieving something that I wanted so quickly. It's like I didn't want the belt specifically, I wanted like the knowledge and the ability that came with it. So for me, it's like I never wanted anyone to ever be able to beat me. And like I'm still not there yet. I think if I were to compete right now, and like if I just say we're against like ACC guys, like I think I have some trouble with them. But my goal is to still get there. So I keep improving every day, and one I do want to prove one day that I'm the best. So that's my goal right now, is to just get in good shape and everything, and to start competing, and start proving to myself and others that I have what it takes to be the best.
And I think that, man, the confidence you already have is going to assist you in that so much, because you already have that belief in yourself. And I think that that's huge, man. Like that just follows you everywhere in life.
Yeah, thank you. It really does. And yeah, like I said, like when I was younger, I was really shy and unconfident person. So it's like I don't think I would have got there to where I'm at now without jujitsu. It's like it's been really great for me in my life.
Yeah, I tell people it's the foundation of everything I've ever achieved or anything that I ever will go on to achieve. It's like it's given me a roadmap, you know, or a blueprint. It's powerful, man. So I know we got to wrap this up, but I just want to end on this. Like, if there's anyone listening to this who might be new in their journey, like maybe they're 6 months in and they're 1 year in, or maybe they're listening to this and they've never even taken a jujitsu class. They're listening to this as research, you know, trying to see if it's for them. What would you say to this person? Any tips? Any words of wisdom?
Yeah, I would say just, jump right in and don't worry about getting your butt kicked because that's just part of the process. Like I mentioned it, one of my Instagram reels, it's not like how much I get tapped now. It's like how many times I've been tapped to get the black belt. So sometimes people get frustrated with the lack of progress in the beginning, but like it's like if you do this for 10 years, you're going to be pretty good at it. So you might as well do it for, 10 years at least. And then you're probably gonna be a black belt and probably gonna be pretty happy with the results.
I forget who said this quote. Uh, it's some jujitsu legend said this quote that said like the time's gonna pass no matter what. The 10 years is gonna go by no matter what. You might as well start jujitsu today, and 10 years from now you might be pretty good, you know, or anything. The same goes for anything. You know, if you want to start YouTubing, start making YouTube videos today. You know, if you want to start a business, start doing your market research today. Start getting your ducks in a row. Like, do that thing. Don't just sit and not do the thing.
Yeah. I agree. I think like the mentality of like I'll do it tomorrow or do it next month is like the enemy of like real progress. So yeah, you got to do it now.
Man, just like you got to go for that takedown in the world finals. If you're going to actually get the takedown, you got to actually go for it. That's something I've been thinking about a lot. It's like you watch the high level guys, they're setting it up the whole match. They're setting it up for that one or two moves that are going to get the takedown. And then when it's time for them to go, they freaking go. It's like they seize that moment. They don't just, you know, when it's go time, it's go time. But they also set it up. So I don't know, just an allegory, allegory
No,
I've noticed.
I think it's a great example actually, because you're right, because the guys that actually finish their takedowns, they're the ones that commit to their takedowns. So it's like and you have to, if you're gonna go for a takedown, you gotta drive, you gotta commit to it. And those the ones that get sprawled on and which we've seen last night, ADCC, they're the ones that don't quite commit to their takedowns. So it's the same thing with goals in life. It's like you gotta be all in. And one example is before we wrap up is like my YouTube channel. I spent $10,000 getting the equipment and I told myself I'm all in now. It's like I've got no choice but to succeed. So, if I didn't do that, I kind of just hesitated a little bit, like kind of work my way up. Might not be as successful as I am now. So it's like, yeah, it was a risk and it paid off.
The
Yeah,
same thing.
sorry, those are my kids and my dogs being loud.
Oh, you're good, man. We got to wrap this up. But yeah, the same was true for me. When I got into podcasting, I spent a few thousand on a course to learn how to do everything. And I was like, fuck it, I can't quit now. Like, I spent all this money. Dude,
Exactly.
well, thank you so much for doing this. I know we got to wrap this up, but where can people find you? And just let us know like anything you got going on or anything you want to promote.
Yeah, they can find me, just search Jordan Teaches Jiu-Jitsu on YouTube and Jordan Talks Jiu-Jitsu on Spotify. And yeah, it's basically all there. And they can watch my videos and all that stuff and hope they enjoy it.
Thank you, Jordan. And if you're listening, all the links are going to be down in the show notes. But Jordan, thank you, brother. I appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
Anytime, man.